Okay, so welcome to the Future Money Show channel. Today, we are going to be reacting to some pretty interesting things. We got some charts, some numbers, some tweets to go through, and we thought we'd just give you some reactions, some theories, have a good conversation today. So, first, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin stock to flow chart. Okay, this is something I wanted to talk about. So, if you look at it, right now we're at what? We're sitting at around 36,000 Bitcoin ish.
We're higher. It's like 39-ish, 38, 38, 38.
Okay, 38. And according to the stock to flow model, we should be about like 103,000 right now, which this was my thought. Like my thought was that the main reason everyone was preaching uh Bitcoin to 100,000 was because of this chart. And it doesn't seem to be following it all that much. Although if you look in the past, like there are times when it kind of diverged and came back to it. But the theory is that the next bull run won't happen until the next halving, which would be 2024.
Well, I mean, that makes sense because they say that, or whenever Bitcoin has its halving is usually when its bull run starts. But I mean, since we started this channel, I've been a bear against Bitcoin because I said its top came in at 69,000. Even our last episode with Nick, like I knew I would come under fire for it, but I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
In my market update, I said that we were gonna come back down. People were like, "Oh no, we're gonna go. It's time to break out." Where are we right now? Back to 38,000.
Do you think it's going to go lower?
We
You probably do think it's going to go lower, huh?
all right. This is my opinion, not financial advice, but this is what I believe, and this is what my research has led me to. I believe that if we are able to hold 35,500, 35,000, the absolute lowest, actually, that's a lie, 34,700, the absolute lowest, if we are able to hold above that going into this weekly close on Sunday, I believe that we're going to break to the upside and that we will most likely see a retracement start to about the 57K mark. Now, this is my perspective. If it does not hold, we are going straight through 30. It'll go right back to 28. It won't, I don't even think it's going to hold at 32. I don't think it's going to hold at 31. I think we're going to work our way back down to 20K if that's the case. And when I said that in the video, I was told I was crazy. Just saying. but here's my thing. So I'm just going to give you a statistic. So alt seasons are typically anywhere from 25 to 40 days long, right? And I think the general consensus is right now that we are due for a major black swan type event. So some major crash, right? And not just in crypto. I'm talking about global crash across all markets, right?
Uh-huh.
Something to do with inflation, something to do with people trying to start wars. Like there's a bunch of narratives that you can pick from currently at this moment, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of the top like stock people, a lot of the top people in different industries around the world are saying that we are overdue for a crash. So when you look at that, typically crashes come in historically around mid to late March, start of April. That's typically when crashes come in. When we had the whole issue a couple of years ago, that came in around March and really peaked and crashed markets around end of April, start of May, right? So with that being said, between now and that time frame is roughly gets you in that time frame of that 25 to 40 day mark. So that's just my personal opinion. Now, like I said from the start, I don't think we're going to set a new Bitcoin all-time high in this cycle. If I'm wrong, I'll again be happy to be wrong because that means when alts explode, it will be a lot higher, right?
Mhm.
But I think we'll retrace to maybe 57,000, at most 60. but I don't see us maybe 62, but I don't see us going. I don't see us going to set any new all-time highs. Like I think Bitcoin is done for the cycle, setting all-time highs, in my opinion. And I think on the retrace, you'll start to see some all start to go with Bitcoin on that retrace, and then when Bitcoin is coming down to find its bottoms or whatever is when you'll see the rest of the alts take off. That's my personal opinion about what's going on.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. I right now I kind of agree with you. I don't think we'll probably make a new high in this cycle, but I think in times like this where there's high fear, right? There's war, there's inflation, there's been problems with supply and demand in the US and supply chains, all these things. Like we've seen a lot of these stocks crash, like .com bubble type crashes already. And it doesn't mean like the whole market's got more way to drop. That's totally possible. We just actually entered what's considered a correction in the stock market. We're almost at 11% now drop in 2 months, which is crazy. But in times like this, when the stock market's dropping, the most risky assets are the ones that get taken the money out of first, right? So that's Bitcoin,
always.
and Ethereum. So that's also why you see it's like exponential. So like stock market goes down 5%, Bitcoin goes down 20.
Well, that's the thing, like you said, risky assets. And not to cut you off, but I'm gonna take it a step further then. For someone that's now been trading for some time, you'll understand this concept. For people that haven't, like, this is typically how markets work. So when you have stuff that's really bullish, which means that the market is really healthy, really green, that's when you see all the positive news. That is your sign to sell. That is not your time to hold, because all the positive narratives come out for projects. And I don't know if it's the same in the stock market because I haven't been in there in a while. But for crypto, at least, when all positive news comes out, it's when the price action is terrible. So and typically it's a buy the rumor, sell the news type of things. Like, I will reiterate this: the actions in charts will always take place before the news narrative comes out to support what happened. I'll give an example. Everyone anticipated that the Super Bowl was going to drive up crypto prices, right? Now, it did neither things. It didn't drive the prices up, and it did not cause it, and it did not dump the next day. So what does that mean? That when we said in one of our earlier videos, February is historically a green month. All of that time in February up until the Super Bowl, we had that rally, right? Going all the way up to the Super Bowl in anticipation of Super Bowl commercials. So you had Coinbase, FTX, crypto.com commercials, right? Mm-hmm. You had all of that kind of stuff, but it didn't cause any prices to go skyrocket anywhere, but because we already had the price factored in. Now, on the reverse side, we have the whole Biden's executive order, right? That talking about crypto. And what have we been having? Negative price action this whole entire time. So it's already factored into what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So when that executive order already comes out, like, that's why I'm in the belief that we're going to start to rally back up, because I see this negative actions already factored in. Like, I don't think we're going to go lower after that news comes out, because typically good price action comes when narratives come in when the prices are already terrible.
Right.
Like, positive news only causes projects to tank. That's like, for example, when Tesla said, "Oh, we're buying Bitcoin." They said that announcement at the top, but they only said that so they could buy it at a lower price because it influenced people to get into the market and buy it. I say this all the time. Retail stupidity, not saying you're stupid, but retail stupidity is institutional liquidity, meaning that if you go in and you chase green candles, or you buy these news narratives and you're like, and you don't do any proper research, you're just giving people like those institutions a chance for them to sell their shares and then give them a chance to buy back lower. That's literally how it works.
Yeah, that's facts. Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. I guess this would be a good. We'll just transition to that next thing I sent you.
But before you start that,
yeah,
I don't like being right about certain things. And I'm kind of annoyed that I was right about this, but I told you so. I told you the market was going to come back down.
It
I'm not
did.
crazy. I told you it was going to come back down.
Yeah.
Like I said, yeah, I called for a double bottom. Hopefully we can hold and then break out and have a nice alt season. But just for our future listeners, if you guys ever discover this video, like when we've made it down the line, you're welcome. You're welcome. Sorry, Paul.
No, you're good. All right. Well, looking at so to describe to you what we're looking at, we are looking at there's more. This is a bigger list than I'm able to show here, but these are some of the max losses that we've seen from stocks in the past 52 weeks. So these are all over 52-week period. And some of these crash, like, yes, a lot of these are probably not companies you would have probably invested in. A lot of them are probably that way, but then a lot of them are, like Moderna's in there. You got PayPal in there. You got
It's rough for PayPal.
Yeah, Robinhood. What else is in there? Roku, UPS, and some of the ones that aren't included in these lists where they're, 65% up is like Facebook, Netflix, companies like that who have been hit, just slightly less bad than these, but still horrible. And a lot of these stocks, we haven't really seen these kind of corrections or these kind of crashes in some of these stocks in a long time, like since the 2000 internet bubble, especially in the amount of time it happened. So this is another theory I wanted to run by you is, generally when we enter like a full-blown recession, it can last 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years even. And
fact,
in the past, a lot of these recessions have happened, in those long time periods, but the stocks weren't crashing 80% in 2 months. They were crashing 80% in a year, in 2 years. They would just
over a time period.
Yeah, over time, they just slowly go down. So one of the theories I've been hearing is that we're kind of in a different time right now, and I'm not sure what they mean in the sense of why it's happening, but the recessions could be accelerated. Like everything could be way more volatile. Like the loss we saw in the first 2 months of this year, like, have been so catastrophic that, like, maybe we only have 6 months more, and then it's hit its bottom.
Well, it depends on what you believe. I support that theory. Actually, I have that same kind of theory because if you want me to explain what my opinion is, I definitely will. I think you're right when you say that we're in a different kind of time. So everything's moving towards a digital shift. You see that on literally every major company across the globe. But in order for you to transition yourself from an old system to a new one, you need to burn the old system down. Now, unfortunately, because so many people are still a part of this old system and literally live off of it, which, like our friends, our family members, or whoever that are still heavily invested into the system, they won't necessarily see it coming, I guess. It'll be quick, but a more painful death in that way. It's not going to be slow like previously where you have time to somewhat prepare yourself. It'll be very quick. It'll be very unexpected, which is why I say that this crash, in my opinion, is like, I think you're revving your engines right now, but we haven't left the starting line. I think this crash is going to be something like similar to the Great Depression, but just not the length. I think the effects of it will be something of the Great Depression, but it will be a very quick turnaround, because I think that, and this is me personally, so I read a lot of the publications that the World Economic Forum puts out. I read a lot of the IMF and what they put out. That's the International Money Fund. And a lot of what they're saying is we have hit this fourth industrial revolution, right? And we've hit the digital age and we're going into the quantum era now. Like we're there pretty much, right? So these things are going to be accelerated because the transition period for, how can I say it? The knowledge and the applications of these technologies are way far sped up beyond our understanding and our capabilities. So it's going to accelerate everything else around it, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you'll have a quick like shift out. Yes, it's going to be extremely harsh and detrimental because I feel like you're going to have a bunch of black swans at one time. So I do see that being like a 6 month kind of turnaround to a year turnaround. I don't think we're going to be in some prolonged recession. I believe the effects it will have on people will be prolonged. That's the difference,
Mhm.
because I don't think a lot of people are going to expect it to be as rapid and as quick, and I don't think they'll be able to recover. That's just my personal opinion. But yeah, I believe that everything's going to be accelerated to some extent. It'll be kind of reminiscent of the crypto market.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like these stocks, this is not crypto. Like you're really looking at a 93% drop I invested in that stock. I got out of it a long time ago, but like I had that stock. There's Redfin in here, there's Fiverr, there's DraftKings, there's like so
But
many like
a lot of those
legit
guys are
companies.
they're transitioning into this world now too, though. That's the thing, because they're transitioning into the Web3 world in their own way. Like,
Yeah.
you got a lot of these major companies setting up shop in the metaverse right now,
Hmm.
and these metaverses are built on a bunch of blockchain platforms. So I mean, like,
Yeah, and let alone you sent me the Twitter, all the government officials leaving for crypto.
yeah, like there's major government players that were dominant in their roles that have left and gone to crypto.
Hmm.
Like,
Like you have them
I mean,
here, just a couple of them. Jay Clayton, the SEC chairman, he joined a crypto custody firm. Got Brian Brooks at Binance. Got all of these here. I'll just scroll through them here, but there's so many.
Brian Brooks used to be at the OCC, and he's spoken in Congress like recently
He's great.
in favor of crypto. He's
Yeah,
my favorite.
I listened to a
He's
little
definitely
bit
my
of
favorite.
that Congress thing, and he's great. He
Yeah,
was really explaining
he's
it well. You know what? I actually also thought that the Congress guy who was talking was really great. Also, I don't remember. I don't remember.
I think that's Christian Carlo. I think could be.
Yeah,
I could be wrong, but I
I
think
just
that's
it
who it
was
is.
just like a lot of the times I've seen when crypto's mentioned in Congress, like it's just a bunch of dumb congressmen who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. But this guy actually seemed competent and like asking the right questions and really trying to understand.
There's a few. I mean, like, it depends on what state you're in as well, because obviously Florida has now become like a crypto hub for the US.
Right. Miami.
Wyoming is also quite big. They're favorable towards crypto as well. I mean, Silicon Valley, I mean, that's tech hub. So I mean, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think they're leaving? Do you think they're leaving because they think they're going to be making a lot more money, or maybe they were? Do you think they were offered more money and they just took it, or do you think it's more like they have a vision of kind of where everything's going?
It's a combination of both. I mean, at the end of the day, you're always going to make more money in the private sector than you will in the
Right.
public. That's just facts. Also, you're able to stay out of the limelight a lot more. But the thing about transitioning into a new kind of world per se, right? It's the fact that they know all the legalities behind it. So they're able to take that into their expertise and then help push along the innovation side of what is crypto.
I see.
So if you have like a Brian Brooks, that he's kind of like a hybrid. He knows everything from the legal perspective of the government. He knows what the general sentiment is, and he's able to then bring that to crypto companies that are trying to get compliant in time for regulations. And then you'll be able to in turn, get the government ready as well. It kind of helps that way.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Like it's just all the officials and different people in high level positions, and that deal with our economy moving over to crypto. It's only good. That's just good news.
Do you know what's crazy though? I'm
What?
just gonna say this while it's on my head. You know what I don't like? So if you're a professional athlete, right, you're
Mhm.
not allowed to bet on games as a professional athlete. Like, you can't say,
Any
"Oh, I
games
think,"
or is it just your own?
no, all right. Say for example, if you're a NFL player or an NBA player, right, you're not allowed to bet on other NBA games to say who you think is going to win.
Oh,
And if you're an
interesting.
NFL player, you can't bet on other games to say who you're gonna win or whatever either. And obviously, you can't bet on yourself. But as a politician, you can go and get whatever stock you want. Like,
True. That's true.
and I found this thing that I use to like track stock portfolios.
Mhm.
And yeah, like it's kind of crazy to see that because I'm like, that's so unfair.
It's
Like
super
that
unfair. Nancy Pelosi is the greatest trader of
it's
all time.
it's shady, bro. I saw that she put down like 100 and something K into Disney like back in November, and then it skyrocketed. Like
There's
I
okay,
was
this is
like,
great. Okay, let me just give you two. One was Warren Buffett recently bought Activision. I know he's not a politician, but he bought Activision right
might as well
before the
be.
acquisition, like right
Yeah.
before Microsoft bought him for like $70 billion. Right. So
Yep.
you had that. But in Congress, this is something so stupid. So there's a rule. The rule in Congress is you can't, like, you kind of have to, like, if you're gonna buy a stock, you have to like tell everybody ahead of time. That's the rule right now. But they get around it because they all have spouses. All the people in Congress have spouses, right? So Nancy Pelosi has her husband and she'll just go buy a bunch of stock with her husband. And then when
And
Congress
put it,
asks her,
yeah.
like, you didn't tell everybody like you were going to buy that, he's like, well, that's my husband's trade. Like, I don't, that's his trade. That happens all the time
Exactly.
in Congress, all the time. Let
Exactly.
alone there's probably 100 other people they could use besides their spouse, a different way to secretly hold their money.
But that's what I was saying, bro. That's like if I come to you, I'm a politician. I'm like, Paul, hey, I'm gonna throw you this money. Do you mind like buying me these stocks? And
Yeah,
then
like, of course
like
I'd do
you
it.
you you take a cut and then we're good. Like I'm like, come on.
Yeah,
When
it's
I saw that, I was like, that's so like so crazy to me.
for sure. Tell us what you guys thought of this video. Leave stuff in the comments. Post any charts or things like what we looked at today. If you want us to react to them too, we'll totally do that. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell. Yeah, thanks for watching.